What's going on, data devotees? It's Jameson here. This video is a very brief introduction to Markdown. Now, notice that that's not R Markdown, even though R Markdown combines the elements of Markdown with the R language. Markdown instead is something that you can also use with R in combination, aka R Markdown, but you can also use it on sites like GitHub, where you post an issue and you want to format it. What is Markdown? Well, it's what's called a markup language. So you can have human-readable language where it's comprised of letters, words, sentences, paragraphs, but if you want to format it, especially in an R Markdown document, or if you want to format it on a website, again, like GitHub, or on a website like Reddit, you can use Markdown. That allows you to make bold fonts, italicized font, ordered and unordered lists with bullet points and numbers, all sorts of things. And so that's really what we're going to focus on here, is just a few different tips that you can use for formatting your human-readable language using regular old Markdown. Without further ado, let's get rolling. So I've got RStudio opened up and ready to go, and I've already got a .rmd file. We've saved it as Markdown, and I have a YAML header here. You don't need to know what that is right now, but essentially, if we were to click knit, this creates a Markdown document. Now, it simply has the title, Markdown Demo, and that's really all it has, and that's all we're going to focus on. Is just simply Markdown. So we won't really get into the ins and outs again of getting into R Markdown, but we are in this case actually using an R Markdown file. So don't worry too much about that. Now, when it comes to human readable language, we can simply type that out just like you would with any other word processor. So this is human readable language. Right. And I'm going to click Control S to save that, and I'll click knit. And there we go. Now we've got our title and we have some human-readable language right off the bat. So where does Markdown come in? Well, it comes in when we want to format it. So let's say we wanted to create a header. We can do that with a hashtag, and we can name the header anything we want. Do recall that there has to be a space between your hashtag and the text that you're going to use to label that header. This is a header. I'll save it, I'll knit it, and boom, we have a header. And as you can see, it's quite large. So what we can do to make that smaller, we'll add some more language. And we can create two hashtags or two pound signs. And we'll say this is a subheader. So the more hashtags or the more pound signs we use, those headers will get smaller and smaller and smaller. Smallier header, smalliest header. Right on. So I'm going to save that again, and we'll see what those headers look like. Okay. Smaller header, smallier header, and smalliest header, which of course those aren't actual English words, but we like to have fun here. So just to fix that, and those are creating headers with Markdown. It's very easy to do, and then you can of course separate these out. And we'll knit that again. Cool. So we've got a smaller header, even smaller header, and a smallest header. So that's basically headers, but we can also do other things. So let's go ahead and add bold language. I'm going to add some spaces so that we can visually separate these. And we can say, for example, this is bold. Now, in order to create bold, it's very simple. You add two asterisks to both sides, and we can see that this changed from a automatic or a black text color, font color, to a sort of dark blue. And that also depends on your color theme that you're using with RStudio. But let's see what that bold looks like. And now we can actually see the difference between regular fonts without any formatting as opposed to bold fonts. We can also create italics. So this is italicized. And all we're going to do for that is add a single asterisk on each side. That's italicized. Okay, so far so good. I'm going to get rid of these headers. And we can add a couple other cool things when it comes to Markdown. And we're really, again, focusing on the bare bones here to really introduce you to these. In this case, we're going to create lists. So an unordered list, aka bullet points, is quite easy to make. All you have to do, again, is use just asterisks. And so we can say item A, item B, and item, you guessed it, G. So if we go ahead and click knit, we're going to see that that comes out as an unordered list. They're simply bullet points. But if instead we wanted to create an ordered list, we can simply start these or preface these with numbers. In fact, I'm just going to go ahead, copy and paste that, and we'll replace those asterisks with 1, 2, and 3. Cool. So we've got our unordered and our ordered list, and we can even make sub-items as well. And I believe you have to go 1, 2, 3, 4 spaces in, and you can use dashes. You can also use dashes instead of asterisks if I recall correctly, but this is how I like to kind of parse things out a little bit more. So item A, sub-item 1. And we'll go with item B, sub-item 2. I'll hit Control S for saving, and there we go. We have that sort of indentation in the list. So notice that that is reliant on spacing. If I didn't have the 4 spaces in between, is it still going to work? No. It's all included together as the same bullet points. So do keep your spacing in mind, and in fact, I believe you can even go a hierarchy deeper if you wanted to. Sub-item 1. And there we go. Cool. And so it's actually changing the type of bullet as you get more and more deeper into your hierarchy of your list. So something else to keep in mind. And there are other things you can add as well. Let's show an example of adding a hyperlink. So what is a hyperlink? Well, it's taking words and creating a URL behind those words so that when you click on the words, it takes you to a website. So let's just simply use google.com, and we can do this is a hyperlink. Now, you take the words of the hyperlink themselves and you put those in square brackets. So this is what's going to get highlighted, and when you click on the word hyperlink, it's going to take you to whatever website, and you put the URL of that website inside the parentheses. So we'll go to https://www.google.com. That is what's going to be the URL that is inside the hyperlink labeled hyperlink. We'll knit it. And here we go. This is a hyperlink. Now this may not work because we're in this kind of preview mode. It may work though as well. And there we go. Cool. Google opens up. And so that's just a very basic example. Again, this was kind of a superficial introduction to Markdown. But Markdown is going to be important to know when it comes to, formatting your fonts, and making it easier to read on websites like GitHub issues or simply GitHub, where you're going to be working with collaborators, and it makes it much easier for your collaborators to decode and understand the points you're trying to make in the same way that formatting does with a word processor like Microsoft Word. But also, this is what you're going to be using to format your human-readable language when it comes to your homework assignments, your lab assignments. So Markdown, once combined with R, becomes R Markdown. And even though we're only focusing on Markdown here, it's very important to know these fundamentals. So I hope you found this helpful, and have fun, give it a try, and make some fun documents and some fun formatting. There are a ton more options than this in so many resources online. I think you're going to really like it once you learn it, especially when you combine it with R. You'll really see the magic that you can do. And what's more, I think you're going to pick it up really quickly. So thanks for watching.